Bill O'Reilly here. Welcome to the No Spin News. Wednesday, October 12th, 2022. Stand up for your country. Always remember a truism. People believe what they want to believe. In almost every aspect of life, that is true. It's true for me. You know, I was going over the political polling today, and some of the races, you know, where I want one person to win, and the polling goes against that person, I don't want to believe the poll. Now, I don't know whether the poll is true or not, but I don't want to believe it. I'm looking at, I don't know about this poll. And it's only because of personal preference. So people believe what they want to believe. But there comes a time when the belief system has to be put aside and facts have to be considered. Real truth, things that are happening before our eyes. And the U.S. economy is one of those things. That is the subject of the Talking Points memo this evening. So today we find out that the Producer Price Index, PPI, has risen more than expected for September. Now, as soon as I say that, glaze goes over your eyes. I know. I took economics classes. It is stupefying. But what the Producer Price Index is the cost to American businesses for their products, their stuff, what they market. And it's up in September 0.4%. So that means that you and me are going to pay more between now and Christmas at least for everything. Because the companies just don't say, oh, well, we got to pay more, but we're going to keep our prices low. No. I had a big argument today with a guy who charged me a lot more for a service than last year, and the service was essentially the same. And he's going, well, you know, everything is up. And I'm going, wait a minute. You're not paying more for anything. What are you passing it on to me? He can pass it on to me. That's why he's doing it. So anyway, the Producer Price Index is up 8.5%. And when you add what I call the VIG, the VIG is what you pay gamblers when you lay a bet with them and you lose. They tack on some money called a VIG. Well, the businesses do the same thing. So if they have to raise their prices a certain amount, they raise them a little bit more so they can get more money, make more profits. It's just the way it happens. So I'm putting inflation between 10 and 12% in this country right now for working Americans. And oil prices are going up. Gas will go up again. You know that. If you have to travel over Christmas and Thanksgiving, oh, you're going to get hammered so badly. If you can drive, because you're going to get killed in the airports. I'm not flying. Anyway, so this is all because of Joe Biden. And I'm sorry. I mean, if your liberal friends won't believe it, again, it's what they want to believe, but that's a fact. 2 years ago, just 2 years ago, America had the most vibrant economy on earth. I've said that before. I'm sorry to be repetitive, but it's the truth. And now we're tottering on the abyss. And what does the president have to say about it? Go.
Should the American people prepare for a recession?
No. Look, they've been saying this now. How every 6 months they say this. Every 6 months they look down the next 6 months and see what's going to happen. It hadn't happened yet. It hadn't. There's no guarantee that they're going to be. I don't think there will be a recession.
I don't know what he's talking about, but I got the last sentence. I don't think there will be a recession. Why? Because he doesn't want to believe there will be. It's not based on anything, because if it were, he would have cited the International Monetary Fund, IMF. It's an agency of the United Nations that tracks world economies. And Jake Tapper, so old Jake should have had this, but he doesn't have it. I have it. International Monetary Fund says that global growth will decline to 2.7% next year, 23. Okay? So it was running steady this year at 3.2. In 2021, just last year, you know what it was? 6% global economic growth. Now it's down to 2.7, says the IMF. Now who's going to get hurt? We'll get hurt, but not like China. China get hurt the most because it's an export economy. China gets money by shipping products it makes in its sweatshops all over the world. Well, people are not going to buy it. No, China, like this. Okay, just keep that in mind. But Biden, he doesn't know what the IMF is. He doesn't know. I mean, it's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. This whole thing will go down in history as one of the most absurd administrations ever to be elected. And I know some of you say, well, they weren't elected, but they were elected. They are in the Oval Office. So here's a shred of good news for seniors. Social Security, the cost of living hike is going up 8.7%. It will kick in. It was announced. It will be announced tomorrow. I got this ahead of time. So 8.7% rise, and you will see it next year. Okay? I think it goes into effect with December benefits. So you'll get a 1 year, 1 month this year. So that's good. Because senior citizens, many of them are in fixed income. They can't earn more money by taking a second job, as many Americans are, many working Americans are. They don't have a lot of options. So this is only right. And again, it's Biden's doing it. So inflation under Trump ran 1.3%. now it's between 10 and 12. And yet, there'll be people going to the polls on November 8th go, oh, yeah, I'm going to vote for the Democrats. It's unblinking believable. All right, so the president going to Colorado. This is a campaign stop disguised. I love this. It's disguised as something else. So he goes to Vail, okay? And he delivers remarks on protecting America's iconic outdoor spaces. And who's standing next to him but Senator Michael Bennet running for re-election? And he may not win. I think he will, but he may not. So instead of campaigning for him, Biden says, no, I'll come out and talk about iconic public spaces. But this is just because Colorado is now a blue state. And I don't know why, but this might help Bennett. So then he goes to L.A. After that, Biden does. And what's he going to do in L.A.? Let's see. Another campaign fundraiser with Nancy Pelosi. All right. And you know the Hollywood crew will be out there writing the checks. It's insane. You're voting and giving money against your own interests and the interest of the nation. But people believe what they want to believe. They don't care. And then he travels, Biden does, on Friday to Orange County to deliver remarks on lowering costs for American families. Yeah, all right, sure. Sure, yeah. And then he goes to Oregon, and this is a legitimate campaign stop for gubernatorial candidate Tina Kotek, who's in trouble. A Republican may win the governorship of Oregon for the first time anybody can remember. I think it's Lewis and Clark. So Kotek's in trouble. And Biden is, I think this, because I said nobody wants him to campaign. Well, this is one that does. That just came up, by the way. Okay, so in the interview on CNN yesterday, Tapper did get around to Hunter Biden. Go.
Our reporting, CNN's reporting, and the Washington Post reporting suggests that prosecutors think they have enough to charge your son Hunter for tax crimes and a false statement about a gun purchase. Personally and politically, how do you react to that?
Well, first of all, I'm proud of my son. This is a kid who got, not a kid, he's a grown man. He got hooked on, like many families have had happen, hooked on drugs. He's overcome that. He's established a new life. He is, I'm confident that he is, what he says and does are consistent with what happens.
What he says and does are consistent with what happens. What does that mean? If anybody knows what that means, because I don't know what it means. Bill at BillO'Reilly.com. Name and town, please. Bill at BillO'Reilly.com. Once again, what he says and does are consistent with what happens. He's talking about Hunter Biden. I don't know what that means. Do you know what that means? Really? Tell me the truth. I'm sort of, what? So, if my son got addicted to narcotics and did all the terrible things that Hunter Biden did, and then kicked the narcotics, I would say the same thing that President Biden said, that I'm proud of my son, okay, for overcoming a debilitating quality of life. I understand why Biden said it. I think that as a father, he did the right thing. But I don't think that Joe Biden understands what Hunter Biden did. And an excuse of addiction doesn't overcome criminal activity. You can't just walk in and say, oh, I was addicted to cocaine, so all the bad things that I did, I'm not, don't hold me responsible. That's what Biden's pretty much saying here. Hey, he was addicted, he overcame it, so what are we worried about? Plenty to worry about. Now, if Tapper had been a decent interviewer, which he is not, gently, because you don't attack a father's son, he could have said, look, there are a lot of questions about your son's criminal activity, drugs or no drugs. And it's gonna come out there because when the Republicans win the House, which they will, there's going to be hearings on it, Hunter Biden, and China and Ukraine and Russia and the tens of millions of dollars that he derived. Those hearings are going to take place, just like the January 6th committee. You're going to have those hearings. And that's the kind of question you ask to President Biden. But I don't have any problem with Biden sticking up for his son. Fathers have to do that. They have to hope somehow that their son can be pulled out of whatever morass he is in. Okay? Now, fortunately, I have never had to deal with any of this, but I know other fathers who have. And compassion is what is needed there. Inflation at its highest level in 40 years. Interest rates skyrocketing. We all know that. Market experts like Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan, not only predict a recession, but are using scary terms like economic hurricane and unprecedented. So, you need to call the only precious metal dealer I trust, American Hartford Gold. They will show you how to protect your savings and retirement accounts by diversifying your portfolio with physical gold and silver. Please call them today, and they will have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or put inside your IRA or 401k. They have thousands of satisfied customers, are the highest rated firm in the country with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Tell them Bill O'Reilly sent you, and they'll give you up to $2,500 of free silver on your first order. Please call 866-501-5201, 866-501-5201, or text BILL to 65532. Again, 866-501-5201, or text BILL to 65532. Okay, and one more on this, because I think this will resonate. You hear Pope Francis say all the time about migrants and we have to be compassionate toward them, and they're poor and they're desperate. What else is he supposed to say? That's what Pope Francis does. That's his mandate, to help the poor and the downtrodden. So he's not concerned with no border wall. I mean, all his message is we got to help these people somehow. It's not a bad message. It's not a message that should be scorned. Yes, he doesn't or won't consider the damage of unfettered immigration the world over. The Pope does not do that. But he's not mandated to do it. Just like a father isn't mandated to condemn his son, even though his son has done something wrong. You see what I'm trying to do here? So I thought that was interesting. So a report from Politico, a website I do not trust, that the White House is going to downgrade President Biden's 80th birthday. It is on November 20th if you want to get the present, and you can send him a copy of Killing the Legends if you want. He'll be 80 years old on November 20th. But the White House is not going to have a big party or anything like that because it reminds people that he's 80 years old and he's not really on top of his game, as we just saw. Okay, so that's the report. I don't know. What I do know is there's a new poll, Issues and Insights poll, 1,376 adults. They would not give us the methodology, which always makes me suspicious. Anyway, here's a question. Some people are concerned about President Biden's mental health. How concerned are you about Biden's mental health? Concerned 64%, not concerned 30%. That's a lot of people who are concerned. Total Democrat, 52% of Democrats concerned about Joe Biden's mental health. 86 Republican, you would expect that. 59 independent. I thought the independent number would be higher myself. Okay, so with all of this in play, bad economy, painful inflation, working class people getting hosed, Biden befuddled, and he can't even get a sentence out that makes any sense, okay? You would think landslide, November 8th, Republicans win everything. Let's bring in Maxim Lott. He is the executive producer for Stossel TV. That's John Stossel. And he's in London running around, having fun over there, I guess. But anyway, the reason we got him on is that he is a creator of maximumtruth.substack.com, which is a journalism site. Once again, maximumtruth.substack.com. And he studies how people are betting elections, which is legal in Great Britain, not here. It's legal in Great Britain. Okay, that's why we have you, Maxim. Okay, so let's run it down. Give me Pennsylvania. So you got Oz against Fetterman. What are you seeing there on the betting side?
Yeah, it's really interesting. That race has narrowed more than any other. So a month ago, the bettors were saying that Fetterman had a 75% chance of winning. Now it's down to a coin toss. He's 53%. And that went down just today, actually, by 6% after he had this NBC interview where even the interviewer, who you would expect would be sympathetic, was like, seemed like he wasn't understanding what we were talking about without having his closed captions.
Yeah, he had to read it. He couldn't understand. And we're going to play that soundbite after you leave us. But right now, you'd say it was a tie between Oz and Fetterman right now?
Yeah, that's the closest state, and the control of the Senate could definitely depend on that. The Senate itself is also a coin toss. Like, the Republicans are strongly favored to take the House, 80%, but the Senate, coin toss, 55% Democrat right now.
Yeah, Real Clear Average has Republicans gaining 2 houses in the Senate. Now, I was on Hannity today doing an analysis of the races, and I said Mark Kelly will probably win in Arizona. What do you have on that?
Yeah, Mark Kelly is slightly favored, just 58%. And that's also down over the last month. In general, Republicans have been gaining in the last month. One interesting thing, by the way, is the polls show it not so close. So in Arizona, Democrat is up by 4% in the averages. In Pennsylvania, up by 6%, according to 538's average. And the bettors say the polls are likely to be wrong. They say it's a coin toss, despite these polls saying the Democrats are still up.
Why should we trust bettors, though?
Yeah, the bettors have a good track record, and it makes sense because they're putting their money where their mouth is. Like, they're actually thinking about this, not just spouting off.
Okay, there was a poll today that was favorable to Cortez Masto in Nevada, but I think that Laxalt, the Republican, will win that Senate seat.
The bettors agree with you on that. 62% for Laxalt. That's, again, something that flipped in the last month, where before 1 month ago, Cortez Masto was up, And, gas prices are ticking up again already. And you mentioned the inflation stuff earlier. The Dow is down 3,000 points in the last month. Republicans are hitting Democrats on crime. I think all these things are adding up, and they've moved things from an edge for Democrats to a complete coin toss.
But did the bettors take into account that we in America have a lot of zombie voters? They don't know anything, and they just vote.
They certainly do. And, that's
like,
why maybe it's a coin toss rather than...
to me, it's just, I can't imagine voting against your own self-interest. All right, let's go to Wisconsin. It looks to me like Johnson's pulled ahead there, and we'll take it.
Yep, the bettors agree. He's up to 77%. Even though the polls are saying he's ahead 1 point, the bettors say it's a shoo-in. The Wisconsin polls in particular have a track record of being biased. In 2020, you might remember, it was like double digits off in terms of
in the Trump race, right? No doubt about it. Well, most of the polls were off. Trafalgar was there, and Rasmussen. That was about it. All the others were out. Vance in Ohio. How do you see that?
Vance also doing well. 77% chance that he'll win. And he seemed to have a good debate performance, according to the bettors, especially in Arizona. The Republican Masters had a good debate performance as well.
Yes, so I saw some of that. I agree with that. But I think Kelly is personally popular, and Gabby Giffords, his wife, very popular. That means a lot. And Arizona is shifting into the blue category because of all the people coming in from California and all of that. Now, Bud in North Carolina, I don't know why this is even close. Working class people, working class state, North Carolina. Bud should be really out there, but the polls say it's dead heat.
Yeah, the bettors say it's not such a dead heat. They say 78% for Bud. So, the one we've had a lot of kind of good news for Republicans and where it's shifting. The one darker spot is Georgia, where it's moved to.
Yeah, we're going to get to that in a moment.
Yeah,
I'm saving that for last, best for last. And we do have a soundbite from Herschel Walker that we're going to play again after you leave. But North Carolina, the bettors say that Bud is going to take it, right?
Pretty safe, 78%.
Now, do you have any stats about how right the bettors were in the past as opposed to the pollsters?
We do. If you compare it to Nate Silver in 2020, Nate Silver said there was a 10% chance, just 10%, that Trump would win. And the bettors had a 36%. Trump did not win, but it was just a 70,000 vote margin. Right. And I think it's clear the bettors had a more realistic outlook than the people aggregating polls.
Do you remember 2016 when Trump won? Was there big the bettors versus the polls?
The bettors had it everyone got that one wrong. Almost everyone
got it wrong.
The bettors had it at 7%, but there were these people at the Princeton Election Consortium looking at polls. They said 0.1% chance for Trump. The bettors at least had a 7% and adjusted.
But I was right. I called it properly. All right, so Georgia, everybody knows Herschel Walker is being attacked personally. Now Warnock is being attacked personally as well. And I saw the polls that came out today, Atlanta Journal-Constitution and a few others, Emerson. It's a dead heat there, according to the regular polls. I was surprised.
Yeah, the bettors think, like you said, there's scandals on both sides, for Warnock and Walker. And the bettors seem to think it's going to hurt Walker more. So they've moved it from a 50-50 to 63% for Warnock.
Is that right? Okay. All right, Maxim, we really appreciate it. Have fun over in the UK. And I hope you'll check in with us at the end of October, maybe a week before the election, and see if the sentiment has changed, okay?
Absolutely. Would love that. Thanks for having me.
Really appreciate it. Thank you. Bill O'Reilly here. Vidgo, Vidgo, is a new streaming service that gives you live sports and programming you want at a price you can afford. With Vidgo, I get live sports networks, including ESPN and Fox Sports, along with incredible access to college football games, with 80% of every televised college football game in the first 3 weeks of September. 80%. Vidgo also has a great choice of news and entertainment program, including The First, Fox News, Newsmax, and more. On my new weekly program called Shock and Awe, exclusively on Vidgo, I'll break down the most important issues of the week, asking bold and fresh questions and sitting down for exclusive interviews with America's top news makers. For a limited time, when you sign up for Vidgo, you can also get a copy of my new book, Killing the Legends, free and get $15 off Vidgo's premium service. So please go to Vidgo, vidgo.com/BillBook. Sign up now. So last night I was at Yankee Stadium for the game with Cleveland. And I don't like Cleveland because they dropped the name Indians. All right? There was no reason to do that. But because they were politically correct in Cleveland, they did it. They're now the Cleveland Guardians. Who exactly are you guarding with your bats and balls and mitts? I don't know. I'm confused. So I root against Cleveland and rooted for the Yankees. Beautiful night at the stadium. Throw that picture up I gave you. Beautiful night. There's this moon. Okay. Place was rocking. Yankees won. All right. And it was a great time. Always is a great time. Now, this is why I live in New York, because in New York, we have these traditions. Yankee Stadium goes all the way back to the 1920s and Babe Ruth, the house that Ruth built. And I just love that tradition, that history and everything like that. What I don't love is the chaos that comes along with the tradition. Now, here it is. I had to walk a quarter mile, which I needed the exercise, so it was okay with me. I could not get into Yankee Stadium. Every road was blocked. And I left the house 2 hours before game time. I lived 20 miles away. So I said to the driver, you can't just drive yourself. I guess you could, but then you'd have to leave a day ahead of time. Look, we're not going to get in there, so drop me off here. And I know the Bronx neighborhood, the Grand Concourse, so I was able to kind of walk. No, it's safe for Yankee Stadium. I mean, it was like legion of cops, so you didn't have to worry. But I had to actually walk because I could not get into the stadium by a vehicle. It's just unbelievable. Its traffic was backed up to Maryland. They can't get the flow, and they don't care. They don't care. They want everybody to take the subway, the politicians, but the subway, you can get stabbed at any time, right? So, all right, I'm not afraid, but I'll bring self-protection, but it's not like the subway is nirvana, all right? You can get stabbed. Subway violence, the highest level in, I think, since 1980 here in New York City. Of course, nobody's doing anything about it because they don't care. Violence, people dead, that's it, yeah. Right. Anyway, rooting for the Yankees over the Guardians, rooting for the Yankees to get to the World Series. All right? National League, the Pods beat the Mets, but I like the Padres. I like them. Thank you for watching and listening to the No Spin News. See you tomorrow. If you are stuck in a timeshare and you haven't called Lone Star Transfer yet, what are you waiting for? Lone Star Transfer has helped more than 16,000 happy customers. They are family-owned, have a 99% success rate. Their process is done legally, ethically, and quickly. I mean, does it get better than that? The team at Lone Star Transfer will keep you informed every step of the way until you are legally and permanently released from your timeshare. So, don't pay another penny for a timeshare you don't use. Get peace of mind today with Lone Star Transfer. They guarantee the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. Give Lone Star Transfer a call for a free no-obligation consultation. 855-551-7066, 855-551-7066, or online at lonestartransfer.com.